Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Whether you're a new listener or you've been listening for years, always appreciate everybody that tunes in. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live or where you're listening in from the replay. Appreciate people listening from Canada recently, people getting consultations, people from New Zealand. Always had people from Canada listening, but everybody from different parts of the world. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay. This is a double header. This is the Vault episode 332, double header, non-compensated employee. Definitely want to do this episode today. This is a well consulted conversation with so many different people when they come to the vault and they have questions, particularly about working. This is going along the lines of when these people come and talk about, trying to not use socials, trying to do business in a manner in which they're 1099 and things of that nature. So we're going to have that conversation. Once again, appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening from. Feel free to click like and subscribe as you're listening. If you like this episode, this is the double header, non-compensated employee. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Once again, this is a episode where we get a lot of consultations where people have asked throughout the years about being a working with companies traditionally where they're looking to go private, they're looking to go 1099 possibly, but they're looking to go in a position of trusteeship, point blank period. And so when people are trying to go to a position of 1099 or what would be considered they're not an employee of the company anymore, they're on a contractor basis. These are what we would term them as a non-compensated employee, partially because now they don't work for the company that they were working for anymore, and now there is a contract in place, possibly either with them or possibly with a LLC or a corporation or trust, some type of entity. So that's where you traditionally see 1099s, where you see contractor basis, where people are doing business together. So appreciate Memphis, Tennessee for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Memphis, Tennessee for tuning in live, listening to replay. So once again, as we continue to go into the consultations where people may say, okay, I'm working a job right now. How do I get this company to acknowledge the fact that I'm looking to go to what would be considered a non-compensated employee, because you're not even an employee. This is along the lines of like a Uber. This is along the lines of any type of gig society company where these people are saying, hey, there's a 1099 independent contractor in place. These 1099 independent contractors in place do not have to be specifically with individuals or sole proprietorships. They can actually be with companies, company to company. You see quite a few entrepreneurs, people that we know that are doing this one program called Toro, where they are literally they bought multiple cars. They're holding the cars in a business position, and they're contracting with this company Toro and renting out vehicles that they have, and they have multiple vehicles inside of a company that the company owns these vehicles, and they're doing this gig society where they are renting out the cars to different people in a city where people come in, they rent the car for a period of time, but people are doing this from a business position. So definitely I want to talk about it in that perspective, because there's many different ways, but particularly the gig society allows people to put themselves in that position. Even if you're doing work through a website called Fiverr, these websites in general put people in a position where they're allowed to have a company that is contracted with this company Fiverr, and in turn, what do we call? We don't want to say parse out the work, but contract out their work through these third-party websites. So we do want to talk about it from that perspective, because you're seeing it from a lot of that perspective already, which is 1099 at the end of the year issued to a company, individual person, or otherwise. So we would go there. Appreciate Maryland for tuning in live, listen to replay, hometown. Always appreciate Maryland for tuning in live, listening to replay. I gotta give a shout out to Maryland, but appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. Once again, this is the Vol episode 323, double header, non compensated employee. We're talking about non compensated employee today because this is a conversation that we get in consultations continuously, even in trustee training, where people are already in trustee training, they're working a job and they're saying, what's the first step to actually putting themselves in that position where they can get that contractor? And what's surprising is that we have to share with people that literally you're going to go to the company's HR department and you're going to ask them for the handbook. You have to get the handbook with the company to find out if this company has 1099 employees working for the company. It's not that they're 1099 employees, but they are 1099 independent contractors. So we would start there. First thing is you got to go to the HR department, get the handbook. Appreciate Jersey City for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Jersey City for tuning in live, listening to replay up in Jersey. Been there before, enjoyed it. So when we talk about you getting a handbook, you do get the handbook. You get the handbook. You have to go through it. You have to know what are employees. Do they have 1099 independent contractors? Why? One of the world's most famous companies at their height for over 5 to 10 years. This company got hit with antitrust lawsuits. It got hit with, they're not paying any taxes, quote unquote. IBM, the former IBM. This is a company that 1099 to everybody. The janitor, they were 1099 because they didn't have to deal with what? Employee expenses. So it's an advantage to these companies not to have employees. It's an advantage for Uber not to hire the drivers as employees. It's an advantage. It's a competitive advantage. They're able to stay lean. They don't have to have employee insurances. They don't have to have employee expenses, the traditional employee expenses. They don't have to have those expenses now. So since they don't have to have those expenses, it's an advantage to the company. The company is able to be in a position where they're a lot leaner. They're able to invest more in the company because they don't have to worry about insurances and things of that nature that are going to be forced onto the company by the state for compliance reasons to have employee insurance. Some people would say that's a disadvantage. Some people would say that, but we're talking about it from the position of the person that says we're going private but we're still in the public. We have a quote unquote good job. How many people have the courage to go to their job, ask for the HR to get the handbook, and possibly put yourself in a position where you can end up making more money? How can you make more money? Once again, this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. We always have to give the disclaimer in the episode for anybody who's saying, well, it didn't work for me. That's why they want the disclaimers, right? Because if it works, no one's crying. But if it works, then there's no crying, right? Right. So we're going to give the disclaimers. Not legal advice. This episode is not intended to be legal advice. It's not intended to be financial advice. So you go, how can you make more money? Because the company doesn't have to pay those insurances. So they know ultimately they have a couple extra shekels now that, hey, they can create an arbitrage, which they do. They're able to give more money because the money that they would have gave to the state in insurance, hey, they'll give you half of that now. That could have been quite a bit. That could have been a couple extra dollars an hour, right? Think about it, if you were working and the insurance that you were working for, whether it was you make $20 an hour and insurance cost the company $5 or $10. Now you're making $25. Now you're making $30 an hour as opposed to, what is that? $20 an hour. Just giving basic numbers. Things can change. You're on the salary. You're on the salary for $50,000 as an employee. Well, hey, now they can give you $70,000 because it really cost them $90,000 to have you as an employee. And it could cost a lot more than that because these companies don't have individual insurance. They have group insurance policies. So benefits and things of that nature for non-compensated employees. Non-compensated employees look like your traditional Donald Trumps. They look like your. We have a great example. One episode that we did already, how to have $1 million in the mansions and private jets. And that's an episode. You guys can Google that. We'll see what episode that is right now for you all to give you the exact number. But nevertheless, there is an episode that we've done where you can have millions of dollars, private jets, things of that nature, and literally make $1. We're going to look up the episode. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. What is it? Just looking to see. All right, it's episode 41. How to make $1 and have private jets and mansions. This is episode 41 that you guys can go back and listen to. So, you guys can go back and listen to episode 41. The episode is going to share with you all, once again, how to put yourselves in a position where you're looking like a gentleman named Roy Seabag. You guys can Google him, and in turn, this individual literally is, how do we say this? This individual is able to make $1, but has over $100 million company. You think he's not flying around in a company jet? You think he's not riding around in a company car? Appreciate the Bronx for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate the Bronx. Quite a few trustees up in the Bronx. Appreciate New York. Appreciate New York. Always got New York coming through. Trustees in the New York area right now. Always appreciate New York. Trustees in training. Appreciate the Bronx once again. Ladies and gentlemen, just want to let you all know that we're doing definitely a trustee training workshop. We're looking at October right now. So start looking at your calendars. We're probably going to think about Florida. We thought about California. Those are really the main two places. We just did one in Atlanta earlier this year, but we're going to go to see if we can do some places that are warm where people can bring their families maybe for a day or so. We always have people want to bring their families in. So, we always try to give them a great location so they can bring their families in to the private family trustee training workshops. If you want to get in contact with us, Christian@trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian@trustchristian.com. Appreciate you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Non-compensated employees looks like where you go to the company. You were on salary making $50,000 a year. Now you're getting 70. But the 70 is going to an LLC. The 70 is going to trusteeship. We sat in a room with mentors. You got to be willing to take the risk. If the mentors are lawyers, you got to be willing to take the risk. You got to go to the company that you work for and ask them for the handbook. And you get the handbook and you find out, do they have 1099 rules with the company? Are they willing to allow companies to partner with the company in the form of a contractor basis, not just an employee basis? It's just that simple. Once you're able to have that ability to go into the company, then obviously you know if you need to deal with having a company or not. There are quite a few companies that would love to eliminate employees. Look at Uber. Look at these companies. It's not that they're heavy and lean with employees, but they're more lean with independent contractors than they are with employees, ladies and gentlemen, around the world. So, as you all can see, there is a benefit to being in a position of non-compensated employee. Can everybody pull it off? Definitely not. But do you have the opportunity? Yes, you do. The opportunity is there in front of you right now. You might have to go exercise some courage to go to the right people. You might have to ask the right questions. Appreciate Daniel Beach for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Daniel Beach for tuning in live, listening to replay. We're going to do a doubleheader here. We got Carrollton, Ohio tuning in live, listening to replay. Carrollton, Ohio. Yeah, we're saying that right. Carrollton, Ohio. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a doubleheader. This first episode was non-compensated employee. We're going to do our second episode. Feel free to know we get ready to rebroadcast if you're listening live. And if you're listening to replay, just know you're going to see the doubleheader episode title. Appreciate you everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. We're ready to go over into the doubleheader episode. Look forward to seeing you on the stream.